Hi crocheters of the world! In this tutorial I want to show you how to make this slouchy beret with the puff stitch. It's a beret that I made for a tutorial on my Italian channel, and now I want to make another one here on my English crochet channel. So it's a really nice and soft texture. This beret is really large, and I will work this beret as I worked this one with a very thin yarn, a variegate yarn, this one, different colors but the same wool, the same yarn, and with a 2.5 millimeters hook. So you need a thin yarn, wool yarn. This is a 75% wool, because it must be, as you can see, it must have this texture, soft texture. Okay, now we will begin the project with the magic circle or magic loop and chain 1. Oops, it slips again, like this. Chain 1 just to, okay, and now 2 more chains. So we have a chain 3, and into the first round we will work 6 puff stitches, in between them with 6 chain 3 spaces. So yarn over and let us work our first puff. 1, yarn over twice, pull the yarn, yarn over third, and pull the yarn. Now we have our first puff, yarn over, pull through all, loops on your hook, and chain 1 to secure. So here we have our first puff stitch, then chain 3. Chain 3 after each puff made. So this is a rule, let's say, for this project. Chain 3 after each puff made. Okay, the second one, 3, yarn over, pull through all loops on your hook, and chain 1 to secure. Chain 3, and again the third puff. 3, chain 3, and the fourth puff. 1, 2, 3, and pull through all. Chain 3, and the fourth puff. 1, 2, 3, and pull through all. Chain 1 to secure. Chain 3. Now we have 5 puff stitches worked around the magic loop, and this will be the last one, the 6th puff. Now we have 6 puff stitches. Pull the tail to close the magic loop, and chain 3. Insert your hook into the secure chain on the top of the first puff stitch worked to slip stitch to join. And this is our first round. Now we have puff stitches, 6 puff stitches here, but we will go on and increase as we normally increase with when we work a hat with the double crochet. Okay, so, or with the single crochet actually, because with the single crochet we normally begin with 6. So we have 6, and now we will work into the chain 3 spaces. Now at the end of the first round we have 6 puffs and 6 chain 3 spaces. Insert the hook into the first chain 3 space, pull the yarn and slip stitch. So now we are into the first chain 3 space and we can begin our second round. Chain 3, and into the second round we will work 2 puff stitches into each of our chain 3 spaces of the first round. So yarn over and let us begin with our first puff stitch. Okay, now chain 3, don't forget to chain 3 after each puff made. Into the same chain 3 space, another puff stitch, 2 and 3. And this is an increase. Okay, now chain 3, skip into the next chain 3 space and work 2 puff stitches, 1, 2 and 3. This is our first puff stitch, chain 3, oops, it slips, 1, 2, 3, and into the same chain 3 space work another puff stitch, 2 and 3, and here we have our second increase, so 2 puff stitches. Chain 3 again and skip into the next chain 3 space and work 2 puff stitches with a chain 3 in between them. Chain 3 and the second one, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we have 2 puff stitches, chain 3 again, and into the next chain 3 space work 2 puff stitches, 2, 3, this is the first one, chain 3, and let's work the second one, 2, 3. Okay, we have 2 more chain 3 spaces, so we have to work 4 more puff stitches, 2 in each of them, 1, 2, 3, chain 3, and into the next chain 3 space let's work the first puff stitch, chain 3, and the second puff stitch, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, the secure chain 1, chain 3, and into the last chain 3 space let's work our last 2 puff stitches of this round, 3, chain 3, and 1 more into the same chain 3 space, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, now chain 3 and insert the hook into the secure chain on the top of the first puff stitch made, slip stitch to join. This is our second round finished, and we have 12 puff stitches and 12 chain 3 spaces here. Now third round, insert the hook into the first chain 3 space, pull the yarn and slip stitch. Now we are into the chain 3 space and we can just go on and work our third round. Chain 3 and work 1 puff stitch, 2 and 3, chain 1 to secure. So into the second round we worked 2 puff stitches into each of our chain 3 space of the first round, and I said it's an increase. 2 puff stitches into 1 chain 3 space is an increase. Now we will put an increase, so we will work 2 puff stitches into 1 chain 3 space into each of our second chain 3 space. So here we worked 1 puff stitch, don't forget to chain 3, and into the second chain 3 space we will work 2 puff stitches. So 1, 2, 3, this is my first, chain 3, and into the same chain 3 space we work another one. And this is our first increase of the third round. Now chain 3 again, and into the next chain 3 space work 1 puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and of course a chain 3. Into the second chain 3 space work an increase. This means that we will work 2 puff stitches into the same chain 3 space, chain 3 and the second puff stitch. 1, 2, 3 into the same chain 3 space. And this is my second increase. So we work 1 puff stitch into the first chain 3 space, 2 puff stitches into the second, 1 into the first, 2 into the second, 1 into the first, 2 into the second. We repeat this sequence all around this round. Okay, so go on, continue on like this until the end of this third round. So I finished my third round with an increase. So as you can see, I have 2 puff stitches here into the last chain 3 space of the second round. And because we always begin with 1 puff stitch, we always finish the round with an increase. Okay. Now we increase in each round, adding 6 puff stitches more. We had 6 puff stitches into the first round, then 12, so 6 plus 6, 12, and now into the third round we have 12 plus 6, 18 puff stitches and 18 chain 3 spaces. So count them. You must have 18 puff stitches, 18 chain 3 spaces into the third round. Fourth round, into the chain, insert the hook into the chain 3 space, pull the yarn, slip stitch. Now chain 3, and let us begin with 1 puff stitch into the first chain 3 space. Okay. Now chain 3 into the second chain 3 space, 1 puff stitch, 2 and 3. Into the third chain 3, into the third chain 3 space, an increase. So 2 puff stitches, 1, 2, 3, chain 3, and into the same chain 3 space, another puff stitch, 1, 2, and 3. So in this fourth round we will increase into each of our third chain 3 space. We will repeat this sequence. So 1 puff stitch into the first, 1 puff stitch into the second, 2 puff stitches into the third. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, all around. So repeat this sequence all around this fourth round. So I finished my fourth round, and as I said before, we always begin with one puff stitch and we always finish with one increase, so 2 puff stitches into the same chain 3 space. Okay, don't forget to chain 3 after each puff stitch made. It's very important for the pattern. Okay, so into the third round we had 18 puff stitches and 18 chain 3 spaces. Now 18 plus 6 are 24. So into the fourth round we must have 24 puff stitches and 24 chain 3 spaces. Count them just to be sure that you have all of them. Now the same thing, insert the hook into the first chain 3 space, pull up a loop and slip stitch, then chain 3, and let us begin with our first puff stitch. 2 and 3, and this is the fifth round. Into the fifth round we will work 1 puff stitch into the first chain 3 space, chain 3, 1 puff stitch into the second chain 3 space, and a chain 3, 1 puff stitch into the third chain 3 space, and a chain 3, and 2 puff stitches into the fourth chain 3 space. 1, 2, 3, and this is the first puff stitch, chain 3, and the second one into the same chain 3 space for the increase, and chain 3. So this is our sequence for the fifth round. 1 puff stitch into the first chain 3 space, 1 puff stitch into the second, 1 puff stitch into the third, and 2 puff stitches, so 1 increase into the fourth. So into the fifth round we will increase into each of our fourth chain 3 space. So we will repeat this sequence all around, and of course we will finish with 1 increase. So go on and work your fifth round. I will work mine. 1 puff stitch into the first chain 3, 1 puff stitch into the second, chain 3, 1 puff stitch into the third, chain 3, and 1 increase, so 2 puff stitches into the fourth. 1, 2, 3. This is my first puff stitch, chain 3, and again 1, 2, 3 into the same chain 3 space, and this is my increase. So I repeat my sequence, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, and my increase into the fourth. 1, 2, 3, and my increase into the fourth. Go on and repeat this sequence 4 more times, because it's the sequence of increases is repeating 6 times on 1 round. So 4 more times, because we just worked 2 times this sequence for the fifth round. So I finished my fifth round, and because in my fourth round I had 24 puff stitches and 24 chain 3 spaces plus 6 into my 5th round. I must have 30 puff stitches and 30 chain 3 spaces. Now we have 2 more rounds to increase. So the 6th and the 7th round will be increasing rounds. Insert the hook into the chain 3 space, pull the yarn and then slip stitch, chain 3, and let us begin our 6th round. Make the first puff stitch into the first chain 3 space, chain 3, another puff stitch into the second chain 3 space, chain 3, another puff stitch into the third chain 3 space, chain 3, and another puff stitch into the next fourth chain 3 space. So into the first 4 chain 3 spaces we put 1 puff stitch. Now into the 5th chain 3 space, don't forget about chain 3. Into the 5th chain 3 space we will make an increase. So this is my first puff stitch, chain 3, and into the same chain 3 space let's make another one. So this is my second puff stitch and I have my increase, and this is the sequence for my 6th round. So this sequence we have to repeat it 5 more times. Okay, so 1 puff stitch into each of our first 4 chain 3 space, and into the 5th chain 3 space an increase. So 4 puff stitches, and into the 5th 2 puff stitches, 1 puff stitch into each of our first 1, 2, 3, 4 chain 3 spaces, and into the 5th an increase. So go on and repeat it 5 more times to complete this 6th round. I finished my 6th round, so it's the second to last round of increases, and I have now 36 puff stitches and 36 chain 3 spaces. It's very important to get the right number of chain 3 spaces, of course of puff stitches too, but the chain 3 space is very important because, as you can see, we are working every next round into the chain 3 spaces. So if we don't have the right number of chain 3 spaces, we will go wrong for the rest of our pattern. So that's why it's very, very important. So count the chain 3 spaces and the puff stitches after you finished 1 round. Okay, so now 6th round, the number 6, the round number 6 is ready, and now we are going to work our last round of increases. And in this last round of increases, we will increase into every 6th chain 3 space. So we will work 5 normal puff stitches, and then into our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we increased into each of our 5th chain 3 space into our 6th round, and in this round number 7, we will increase into each of our 6th chain 3 space. That means that we begin the same manner. Insert the hook around the first chain 3 space, slip stitch, chain 3, and work your first puff stitch, 2 and 3. Now chain 3 and the second into the second chain 3 space, 2, 3, oops, and the third into the third chain 3 space, 3, the fourth into the fourth chain 3 space, 2, 3, and one more chain 3 and one more into the fifth chain 3 space where we did the increase into the last round. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puff stitches into the first 5 chain 3 spaces, and into the 6th chain 3 space we will make a increase. So chain 3 and into the 6th chain 3 space, let's make our increase, so 2 puff stitches in between them with a chain 3 space, of course. Because we have to increase chain 3 spaces too, and this is the way we are increasing them too. Okay, and this is the sequence for our last increasing round, so the round number 7. We work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single puff stitch, and into the 6th, into every 6th chain 3 space, put an increase. So this is the first sequence, and we need to repeat this sequence all around this round for 5 more times to complete it. So go on and finish this round too. I will finish it off the camera, and then I will be back to show you how to continue on the pattern. Okay, I finished my last round of increases. This is my number 7, round number 7, and I have all around a circumference of about 58 centimeters. So now, if you need it larger means more too slouchy actually. So if you need it like this, larger, you can go on and put 1 or 2 more rounds of increases. And for this, we are into the round number 7. Into the round number 8, you need to increase into each of your 7th chain 3 space for 6 times. So 7th chain 3 space for 6 times into your 8th round. Into the round number 9, if you want to go on and increase, you have to increase into each of your 8th chain 3 space for 6 times. Okay, so with this we finished the crown, let's say the crown of our beret, the slouchy beret. Now we want to go on and to work the band, of course, the length, the length of the slouchy hat, and for the length I will work 6 rounds with the last number of puff stitches, which is 42, because into the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, into the 6th round we have 36 puff stitches. So into the 7th round, last round of increases, we have a total of 36 plus 6 puff stitches. This means 42 puff stitches and 42 chain 3 spaces. Okay, now with these 42 puff stitches I will go on and work 6 more rounds, and this means that from now on, for 6 rounds, I will work 1 puff stitch into each of my 42 chain 3 spaces of each round. That's all. So insert the hook around the first chain 3 space, slip stitch, chain 3, and we are ready to begin our first round for the length of the barrette. Chain 3, skip into the next chain 3 space and work the second puff stitch, chain 1 to secure, chain 3, don't forget to chain 3. Okay, and for this next 6 rounds we'll have a constance of 42 puff stitches and 42 chain 3 spaces. We don't increase anymore, we just go on and work 1 puff stitch into each of our 42 chain 3 space, okay, of each of these 6 rounds that we need to complete. Okay, so actually I show you the way I did this pattern, but as I go on I tell you how, explain it to you how easy you can modify it. You can make it larger if you want. Okay, so I hope it's all clear. It's really a really nice barrette and easy to make, even if you are a beginner. You just have to know how to work the puff stitch, and for the puff stitch you can just search on YouTube a tutorial. I don't have a tutorial on how to work the puff stitch, but there is plenty of English tutorial of how to work the puff stitch, so you can learn and then turn back to make this nice barrette, slouchy barrette. Okay, go on, work these 6 rounds, and then I will be back to show you how to go on. I completed my 6 rounds for the length of the, I put here a safety pin just to be easier for me to count my rounds of the headband. So here is the last round with, you can see, with the last increase round, sorry, so the 7th, and here we begin the headband. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds, Now depends on how long you want to be your slouchy hat, your slouchy effect actually of the hat. You can go on and put some more rounds, or you can just stop here and work for a normal, let's say a normal slouchy hat, not very slouchy hat. Okay, so we will begin now from our 7th round of the head band. We will begin a little bit to decrease, so to shape the for the border. Okay, so we will do this like this: slip stitch, chain 3, and work your first puff stitch, and instead of 3 of chain 3 we just chain 2. So that's all that you have to do in this 7th round of the headband. Instead of chain 3 we will chain 2, and this for 2 rounds, so this and another one with chain 2. Then there will be 2 more rounds with a chain 1 in between the puff stitches until the border. Okay, so actually we have to complete with 4 more rounds, 2 with chain 2 and 2 with chain 1 in between the puff stitches. Okay, and then, so I will complete off the camera these 4 rounds. I just wanted to say and to show you what I have here so far, and then I will be back to show you how to work your border of the barrette, slouchy barrette, and then our project will be ready. Okay, so let's say the most difficult part is the crown of the hat, with all the increases that we have to make, but I hope I succeed in a nice and clear explanation in order to okay, so just 2 chain 2, that's all, for 2 rounds, so this one and 1 more round, then chain 1 in between the puff stitches for 2 more rounds, so 4 rounds for a total of 4 rounds. Then I will be back, so I am doing this off the camera, and I will be back to show you how to put the border, and then we will be ready. So I finished my last 4 rounds, and now I have here 42 puff stitches and 42 chain 1, so a total of 84 stitches actually. If it doesn't fit, it is too small with only 1 chain in between the puffs, you can let it with 2 chains in between the puffs, so that's no problem. For me it fits like this with 84 stitches, puff stitches and chain stitches, 42. Now for the border, really easy. We have to work half double crochets into the secure chain of the puff and into the chain 1, secure chain and chain 1. So we will chain 1 and into the first secure chain of the first puff work a half double crochet, then into the chain 1 space, half double crochet into the secure chain of the second puff, half double crochet into the chain 1, half double crochet into the secure chain, half double crochet, and so on for a total of 84 half double crochets. And with this border you can go on how long you want it, so you can add as many as you want rounds of 84 stitches, half double crochets, and that's it. We have only to complete with the border and our beret is ready. Really easy to make, and I'm sure you will like it because it's nice and soft and slouchy, and it's that kind of beret that goes with casual things, so I'm sure you will like it. And as I said, it's really easy to make. So that's it. I finish the border and you see the result at the beginning of the tutorial. So hope you enjoy it and see you at the next tutorial. Bye bye.